Hey guys, Pastor Tanner here, coming at you with another sleeper resource video. Haven't done one of these in a while, but today I want to show you a commentary series that I think will give you a lot of bang for your buck in terms of your sermon preparation and your study time. But stick around. If you have heard of my sleeper resource, you probably haven't heard of my bonus +1 resource, and I'm going to highlight that at the end. So today's a twofer. Let me go ahead and jump in and show you what we're looking at. So the sleeper resource I want to highlight today are the Exegetical Summaries published by SIL International. This is an awesome set, and I think it gives you a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to actually getting the information you need to preach in your sermons or to dig into for your research. This set, if used properly, represents a massive shortcut for your preparation process. Let me show you. Now, what makes these commentaries special? It is the fact that the author has compiled and synthesized a whole bunch of separate commentaries that they've read ahead of time. You can see here in John 3:16, the author has delineated the discourse unit by commentary. So they reference the BECNT, the ICC, the NICNT. This is the distinctive feature of this commentary. What the author has done is gone to many of the major commentaries in the field, they've read it, and they have synthesized the material down to its key components so you can get an at-a-glance reference to all of the major positions, major ideas in a particular unit. This is so helpful. They start off with a semi-literal translation of each verse. For God so much / thus loved the world that he gave the only son so that everyone believing. You can see that this shows a semi-literal translation. You can compare this to your favorite translation, ESV, NASB, NIV, etc., and you can kind of see some of the differences so you know where you're going. But the next two sections are where some of the real key insights from this resource show themselves. First, you can see the lexicon section. This section highlights all of the major words in that given verse. So these are the words that you might be wanting to pay attention to in your studies. As you scroll through, you can see that it talks about in particular words, maybe their different translation, and it also discusses a little bit which mood it's in, the tense, etc. All of this can be really, really helpful. For example, I know that in John 3:16, the word monogenes actually represents a word that has a bit of controversy surrounding it. You can see that it's highlighted here. That shows me that I might want to dig into this word for myself when it comes to my own individual study. Some of you have utilized the exegetical guide. You like to do a deep word-by-word study. Well, what this resource does is it essentially gives you those words that might give you the most bang for your buck. They tell you these are the words that are really important that you should be focusing on, because when we read all of the commentaries, these words kept popping up over and over again. Awesome. But there's even more value in this resource, not just at the word study or translation level, but with the individual questions that come up later on. These are so helpful. What the author has essentially done is highlighted those questions that keep popping up in those commentaries time and time again, and they've summarized for you some of the key positions and insights. You can see here, for example, in John 3:16, there's a question. Does the adverb hutos indicate the intensity of God's love or the manner? This is already so helpful. First, I know that this is a discussion. If I just read the translation myself, I probably wouldn't zero in on hutos and ask myself, well, is this intensity or is it manner? But now I know, just by reading this one sentence, that in the commentaries, this theme is going to pop up over and over again, that the question of God's love being a matter of intensity or the manner of love is a key one. Not only that, look what the author does. They summarize three distinctive positions. They say it indicates the intensity of God's love. Some commentators state that it indicates the manner of God's love, and then some say that it's both the intensity and the manner. Now, I don't know about you, but I can immediately see three useful ways to utilize this information. First, I can drop this information real quick in the sermon, just as is. I don't have to do any additional study. Instead, when I'm preaching, I can state, now, when it comes to God's love in this verse, some are questioning whether or not this has to do with the intensity of God's love or the manner of God's love. I want you to know there are three general approaches. Some think it's the intensity, some think it's the manner, and some think it's both. That is super insightful for somebody out in the pew to understand. Once you begin breaking that down for them, they can see that there are a variety of opinions on this passage, and not only that, but they can hear what those opinions are. So valuable. But you can give them even more information than just that. Even glancing at this section, you can see that the exegetical summary has actually targeted those commentaries that are most common for each of the relative positions. What does that mean? Well, at a glance, we can see that the majority position is the position that this is the intensity of God's love being called out here, whereas the idea that it's the manner of God's love is the minority position. Now, with this observation, we're not trying to identify which one is right or which one is wrong. Instead, we're merely identifying which the majority position is, which is very helpful for the individual in the pew. The third manner in which this information can be helpful is it tells you essentially where you want to dig deeper. Now that you know that this is an issue of controversy, how this adverb is translated and what it exactly means, now you can dig into your individual commentaries and figure out what some of the deeper issues are. You might even choose from here just to pull up BECNT, maybe you pull up Keener and Lenski. Now you've got representative positions from all three, and you know which commentaries you need to read on this verse. So that's essentially it. The exegetical summaries continue to progress in this manner, calling out individual verses, giving you a near literal translation, and then giving you some of the lexical information you might be interested in, and finally, those key questions that are at debate in the text itself. This, to me, is a massive time saver because it helps you to dedicate your time and effort into those commentaries that are going to be most valuable for you. But that's not it, folks. I told you I was going to give you a bonus +1. Well, the bonus +1 are the Lexham research commentaries. These are very interesting to me because they are in many ways very similar to the exegetical summaries. Here I've opened the Lexham research commentary for the book of Romans, and you can see right here at the top you have a section called Issues at a Glance. This section actually helps you to hone in on those areas that are of controversy. You can see there are word study issues, ergon, dikaiao, but you can also see that there are important theological and background studies that are at play as well. So this functions as the exegetical summaries lexicon and question sections do to really call out for you the information you should be focusing on. In addition, if you scroll down, you can see that the author has summarized major commentators on this section. This to me is very similar to the exegetical summaries. Now, rather than summarizing positions and just giving which commentaries fall in line, instead this one goes more in depth into the original author's approach, and then from there you can decide which one you want to study more in depth for yourself. Now, I want you guys to know, as of the recording of this video, the Lexham research commentaries are not finished. Doesn't cover every single book of the Bible. In fact, if you go to purchase the entire set in Logos Bible software, you might be purchasing commentaries that are unreleased. So I just wanted to warn you of that in case you don't want to invest in commentaries that haven't been written yet. That said, there are quite a few volumes still available, and I find these to be excellent, right up there with the exegetical summaries. Okay, folks, that's it for me for this sleeper resource +1. I don't know if you knew about these resources or not, but I find them to be very helpful. I don't always run to commentaries early on in my sermon preparation process, but I'll tell you when I do, I'm often turning to the exegetical summaries or to the Lexham research commentaries because they help me to get the lay of the land and understand what issues I should probably be focusing on in my preparation. Thank you so much for watching us here on the Pastor Tanner YouTube channel. Please check in the description below. We actually have an affiliate link so that if you are purchasing resources on Logos Bible software, I get a small commission. In addition, if you are interested, please consider supporting our Patreon. Appreciate you all very much. Take care. God bless. Bye.